Starsky&Hutch, 21st Century Environmental Explorers on a very windy day. Next video, if you like it, can you please click on the green and man and the green dog in the right hand corner. Thank you.
Hi Michael, welcome to the shop. Come on in, I'll show you around.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Louise. I set up Grain and Sustain, it's been nearly 3 years ago now, to try to help consumers make more environmentally friendly and ethical spending choices. I think there's a real disconnect in our society now between what we do with our money and the impact of it. And so what I really wanted to do was try to sort of bridge that gap, if you like, between what choices we are making as consumers and what we're spending our money on and the impact of them. So for example, sort of indigenous communities around the world bear a disproportionate brunt of the impact of our spending decisions. They contribute considerably lower in terms of emissions, waste production and things like that, but they are the people that are most affected by climate change and sea level rise and a lot of the associated environmental degradation issues. So what I wanted to do was try to be a one-stop shop, try and make it as easy as possible to just do a little bit wherever you can to reduce your plastic consumption, to reduce your food waste. I mean, most households spend about £600 a year on wasted food. So during this cost of living crisis, one of the easiest ways that we can actually make that little bridge better is by reducing our food waste, which is obviously a lot better for our carbon emissions as a society as well. So lots and lots of issues behind our supply chains. But let me show you around and then we can chat more about some of the products. So you're looking for a bee box?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
well, we've actually got these ones here. They're bird and bee boxes, so these ones are really great for solitary bees or for bugs. And they're actually handmade locally to raise money for the RNLI. So we don't take any of the proceeds, all the money just goes directly to them.
You've talked me into it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thank you.
Cheers.
So when I first opened, what I really wanted to do was try and be a one-stop shop as a genuine alternative to the supermarkets. So we've got nearly 600 products on refill now. So all your herbs and spices, nuts and grains, pulses, seeds, you name it, we've got it. So I'll just give you a cant around and show you what we've got.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So here we've got all the nuts. We've got some artisan pasta, which is made from organic British stone ground flour. We've got a load of cereals, so you can make your own breakfast cereals up. You can add whatever you like in terms of proteins to it. Lots of seeds down here. Some of our ambient products, both in this section and then the world food section there. So if you're eating more of a plant-based diet, there's lots of alternatives that you can choose from here. Our herbs and spices are one of the most popular sections, considerably cheaper than the supermarkets because of course you are not paying for any of that packaging. So you just come along and what you do is you can either bring your own container or we have jars that people have donated to us. We sanitize them to EHO standards and then we put them back out for customers to take and use. So if you have your own jar or container, you pop it on the scales, you say I have an empty container to weigh, press print, and that gives you a container label. That can stay on there for the next time because the barcode stays in the system. So we'll pretend this is some extra product that we've then put in. Then we say I have a filled container to weigh, scan that barcode, and you can see it takes off the weight of the container.
Okay.
So we'll pretend this is some product. So when we put it back on, it just whoop,
Okay.
it just literally weighs what's inside.
Excellent.
But it also means that if you've got herbs and spices or something that hasn't quite emptied yet, it doesn't matter because you're going to take off the whole weight to start with.
Yeah.
So you can just top up.
Top up. Fair enough.
And then you would choose your category. We'll say it's herbs and we'll say it's basil. That tells you how much it is per 100 grams and how much you'd pay for 200 grams today. Bear in mind you'd normally only get about 10 grams in a little jar, so that would be a considerable amount.
Okay.
And if you don't have a jar or a container, or you're not quite sure that you want to take a recycled one, then we also have a range of bags available, various different sizes, including these pretty clever ones here. They look like plastic bags, but they're actually made from wood pulp. So they're home compostable.
Oh,
So we call these our not plastic bags.
Right,
There's
okay.
not plastic bags, glassine bags or brown paper bags as
Right.
well. And if you select a brown paper bag, then you just literally press the I have a filled paper
Lovely.
bag option there, put it on and choose the product as
Lovely.
usual. So it's a really simple, straightforward process. But for those who have mobility issues or you're just feeling a bit nervous about the process, we are always happy to do it for you.
Lovely.
We also have a pick and pack service, so if you are too busy to come into the shop and do it yourself, drop your containers off and for a nominal £1.50 fee, we'll do all your shopping for you.
Lovely, lovely.
This is the household and bathroom section, so there's loads of different options like compostable sort of sloughers and sisal things and scrubby bits and bobs to keep you. We've got obviously the silicone menstrual cups and cloth sanitary protection, lots and lots of different options. These are made from bamboo, and our coconut scrubbers are also a super cost effective way to do it. This will last probably a couple of years, so although it's a £2.50 outlay to begin with, actually it will last
That's just
considerably
so
longer than the plastic scrubbers that just
Yeah.
disintegrate and fall apart and end up in
Yeah,
landfill.
yeah.
So
No.
although on the face of it, sometimes things can look a bit more expensive to begin with, actually, if you look at them over the course of a year, if you are, you know, in a position to invest that way, which obviously not everybody is, then
It's
these are
better,
a really,
much
really good
better,
way. Yeah. And the same with the all-purpose cloths. So these will last you a good year or so. So for £3 you get 5 cloths, and that will last
That's
you
a
considerably
whole
longer
year.
than a pack of 10
Yeah.
for £1 in the local supermarket, which will fall apart in a month.
Exactly.
So it is an investment, but I also recognise that that's a privilege, and so we are happy to sell them by
Separate.
the single rather than in a pack. But also, if there's something that you really want to invest in, but cash flow is a bit tight, then please let us know, and we're happy to put in place some sort of payment plan to help you to invest over a longer period of time. Because, you know, we might all be in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat, are we?
Exactly.
We've got a lovely range of teas and coffees here. So these are all blended locally in Glasgow. There are a big range of household and cleaning bathroom products. Again, you know, if you're new to refill shopping, this is one of the easiest access ways to it, because everybody's got the plastic bottles from the supermarkets with their cleaning products in. And there was recently a Just One Bottle campaign to try to encourage people for the first time to start refilling and to think about how many bottles over the course of the year they could save from landfill by topping up their cleaning and bathroom products instead.
Lovely.
We've got a gluten-free section here with a range of gluten-free products for those people who can't tolerate gluten or choose not to. There's a mixture of weird and wonderful items here. So we're currently out of citric acid because all the elderflowers have popped this week. So we've gone completely bonkers for cordial making. So we've got some citric acid. We've got things like pectin if you're making jam, and arrowroot and agar-agar and black salt, xanthan gum, gravy mix, baking powder, corn flour, vegan bouillon, all sorts of bits and bobs like that, which are great for store cupboard ingredients, but also that you just might want a little bit of. So, you know, one of the advantages of refill shopping is that you don't have to have all your cash flow tied up with stuff sitting on a shelf going to waste. You can actually just take as much or as little as you want, and if that's just a few grams, so be it. This is quite a fun little section for the summertime if you're into sprouting. We've got lots of microgreens and seeds and beans that you can sprout. They have a massive nutrient boost, because essentially what you're doing is taking the whole nutrient profile of the plant and you're condensing it down into a tiny little form. So they're really young, sweet and tender, great for shoving in salads or in sandwiches or whatever, or just munch them as snacks. We've got some freeze-dried options here, lots of sugar, both refined and unrefined as you prefer, lots of dried fruit, and then some of our plastic-free snacks as well. So these are quite a fun alternative to crisps and savoury snacks and things, but also give you a much higher nutrient boost as well. Bombay mix is so popular we've run out, and then the spicy wasabi peas. All of the pick and mix that we have is vegan friendly, because frankly it's one of those products that I just sort of think, well, it doesn't need to have animal gelatin in. Whether you're vegan or not vegan, it doesn't matter. You can still access yummy scrummy things like that. We've got about 20 or so different flours available, as everybody went baking mad during lockdown, and so down the middle of the shop we had what we called our tower of flour. So my 6-week-old baby and I were running around Scotland trying to collect flour from wherever we could get our hands on it, and everybody went a bit baking mad, which is also what it allowed us to expand. So we started off with about 40 products and refill, and as I said, we've got nearly 600 now. So you know, lockdown for us was a really interesting time. It really saw people connect back to their food in a way that they've not done in generations. You know, they were using it to alleviate boredom, to do activities for the children. They were sending people little gifts to say, I'm thinking of you, when they weren't able to see each other. They were providing meals for neighbours and vulnerable people who were isolating. And so it was a really interesting sort of societal reflection on how we use food and the connection that we have to it. But also, for me, I think a really interesting exercise in seeing how people connected back on a refill basis, because they were physically handling the food and putting it into their containers, and recognizing what weights and measures are in real terms, instead of going to the supermarket and seeing a plastic bag that's puffed full of air with a tiny bit of product in. So actually the amount that you can fit in one of these tiny little paper bags actually is quite considerable, because we're misled by the supermarkets in terms of, you know, how much product you actually get, and therefore what the value for money really is. So all the products that we sell have an ethical supply chain behind them. We're really careful to make sure that we have either done the due diligence ourselves, or that we buy from ethical cooperatives, so that due diligence has been done for us. So with things like, you know, cashew nuts, for example, it's really important that they come from an ethical supply chain, so that the workers are not being penalised by the way that the acid within the nutshell can affect people's hands. So yeah, that's just a bit of a cant around our zero waste refill shop. So if you're, you know, wanting to try to take baby steps towards sustainability, this is always a good way to do it. And I'm sure your local shop would much appreciate your support.
Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you.